Okay, so it is a different day, of course. It is March the 3rd. Yeah, today's March the 3rd. And so, told you I was going to come back on and finish up my wrap up for February because, of course, February is officially now over, and I have the sum total of 16 books that I actually was able to get read in this month, and wanted to, of course, share with you the other half of what I read. So, you, of course, are seeing this video in two different parts because I told you the first half of what I read about a week ago, and then I said I would come back on. So, anywho, moving right into it, the next book I was able to complete was the reinvention of the rose, which is actually I think it's the second book. Yeah, it's the second book in this particular Roses and Thorns series by Christina C. Jones. Last month, I was able to read actually the third book. I'm reading it totally out of order. So next month, of course, I'll be finishing up the series with reading the first book. So I'm reading 3, 2, 1. Anyways, this story is about Tempest and Tristan. And if you don't know or have not heard or anything about it, basically, Tempest is coming from being in a world called the Garden, where they were kind of captive, held captive somewhat to this lifestyle, to a certain way of life. I don't know a whole lot of details about the Garden, but that's what it was called. And so, anyways, this is post that time, and she is now back into, or she is now in the world, and finding her own, trying to figure things out without that programmed mindset of what was the Garden. And she ends up meeting the main male character, Tristan. She really wasn't, of course, trying to meet anyone, but she ends up meeting him, and this is their story. It is very cute. This is like a novella, so it's not very long. The book is, I think, maybe 190 pages or so. And anyways, it is really nice, as far as reading something that you want to go get through that's a romance, but doesn't have a lot of spice. It has very little, very little. But it gives you that enough of it, to where you can enjoy the book, but it's not heavy on spice, and kind of follow her story as she gets reintroduced and reinvented in this new world that she now lives in, and finds herself on her own and trying to navigate. She goes through some things to get there, but I thought it was very short and quick and cute. I think I rated this one, let's see, 3.75. So I enjoyed it. Definitely recommend the story. And looking forward to reading the next installment, which is the very first one of the series. And it is really, really short. So I'll be able to tell you guys about that little cute story once I read it. The next one is Soul Ties, that I was able to read. Now, this is heavy on the spice. Extremely heavy on the spice. Soul Ties deals with, if you don't know, and it's by Miss Candace. That's the author, Miss Candace. And a lot of people, of course, have talked about this book. I'm probably somewhat late to the party, but needless to say, I have just finished reading it. And I rated this a 3.75 as well. It is interesting. It is engaging. It deals with the young lady. Let me make sure I get, y'all know how I am with these names. Hold on. Because I want to tell the story as best as I can. I should have had my journal again, and I don't have it in front of me, and I don't want to stop the tape to get to it. Okay, so, oh man, I hate when I can't tell you the names, y'all. Anyways, I'm gonna move on. The female main character in here is basically coming off of a relationship. She was in a relationship at the very beginning, and she is in a relationship that's not really going anywhere, and it's not a good relationship at 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 this point. Anyways, she is a doula, okay, by trade. And so, of course, a doula is someone that helps um, a mother to be care for herself until she has the baby, and helps them with the process of delivering the baby. And so, anyways, she is a doula, and she is by trade. Before it gets into this, so let me go back a little bit. She gets this note, this package on her car, and it's an invitation to this club, this exclusive club called Pandora. Okay, and you can just imagine Pandora's box, it is a sex club. And so, anyway, she gets this, and it's very expensive. So she doesn't know who sends her this invitation and where it came from, but she initially thinks it's her boyfriend, but quickly finds out it is not him. Anywho, I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I want to make it quick. But basically, putting that aside for a moment, no, not putting that aside. I'm all over the place. Okay. She ends up breaking up with her boyfriend, or having an issue with the boyfriend, and decides one night that she's going to go and take advantage of going to this club. Not sure what to expect, but kind of know what she's going to see, but not sure she's going to actually do. So, anywho, she goes to this club. She meets this man, and he, on the other side, falls into going to this club based on a pass from his wife. She gives him a pass, like the pass to go do what you got to do and don't tell me about it. Just do what you got to do, take care of yourself. So he goes and ends up meeting, her name is Sienna. I think it's Sienna. He ends up meeting her, and they end up intertwining, of course, and you can just imagine. So, anywho, it's supposed to be a one night. That's it. Done. Finito. This is the one night thing. Well, the next couple of days go by, I guess, however many days it was, and she gets a job through her company that she's working for, that she has to report to the home of course, the man that she had the twist with at the Pandora's box. And so, anywho, she ends up being the doula of his wife that is bedridden and pregnant, can't get out of the bed pretty much, unless she's in a wheelchair, and she's trying to, of course, make sure that she doesn't lose this baby because she's very high risk. And so she takes on this job. He is totally blown away when he sees her, thinking, wait a minute, what is she doing here? So anyways, you can just imagine all of the things that come about from that. And I'm going to leave it right there. I'm not going to go no further. It is very interesting. You will not be displeased with the read if you like a good story that is full of spice. And I mean full of spice. And does have a good storyline. I thought it was cute. Not cute, but I thought it was heartfelt in certain instances. And I enjoyed it. For the most part, I enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it if you are a girly that likes to read romance, high romance with a little bit of naughtiness in it, and just here for it. So, Soul Ties, and that is a series. It has, I think, 2 or 3 more books after that about the brothers that or his brother. I think the next one is about his brother, Saint. And I have not read that yet. But like I said, it's a very interesting read. If you are looking for a good romance story that's got some depth and some intrigue and a lot of spice, I definitely would suggest you try to read that one. I also was able to read Never Lie by Miss Frida McFadden. I've read several books of hers now, and this was one that was on my shelf. So I wanted to physically, of course, try to read some of my books that I have on my shelf. So Never Lie, I gave it a 3.25. It was not one of the best thriller books that I've read. It was okay. I mean, it was just okay to me. It wasn't bad. Basically, what ends up, the story baseline is that a new couple is stranded in a home that they're possibly going to buy. Okay. And so they end up being snowed in this home, and all of these things come about this particular house. It is intriguing from there. Was it like I said, the best? No, it wasn't, but you could follow it. It wasn't bad. It kept you a little engaged, but I mean, would I have been okay without it? I probably would. If I hadn't read it, I would have still been okay. So it wasn't one of those like, oh man, I gotta read it. But it's okay. So anyways, that was my opinion of Never Lie. The next book I read was called Have You Seen Me? This I actually checked out from Libby in my library, and it's a thriller. And I ended up giving it a 2.25. It was okay. It wasn't nothing. Definitely nothing. I definitely was more amped to read and be okay with Never Lie versus Have You Seen Me? And Have You Seen Me is by Kate White. I may give her another shot to see if I like another book by her, but this one, it just really kind of missed. It was, I don't know, it was hard to keep me engaged in this book. I kind of struggled through it a little bit. But, you know, it's a thriller. It basically is about a woman that wakes up and she is at her old workplace that she hasn't worked for 5 years. And from there, it kind of backtracks into what's going on in her life, or what's happening to make her just all of a sudden be at her old job, and all these different things. It goes like in and out with different parts of the story, and it was hard to follow. I mean, put it that way. It was just kind of hard to follow, and that's kind of one of the things that I did not care for. It just didn't keep me, like I said, really engaged in the story, and it was basically like her missing this segment of time, these days, and she's like, what happened? She doesn't know what she's missing. It's like she goes to the hospital because they take her to the hospital because they don't know what to do with her. She showed up at her job and she doesn't have her purse. It's all kind of, I guess it's all over the place. So it's hard to explain it because it was all over the place. I'm trying to kind of go by memory, but it was just okay. It wasn't nothing that I just like, gotta read it, or you should read that. No, I could have lived without that one too. The next book I read was called Catch Me If You Can, and that was by Christina C. Jones. It is also a series. There are 2 other books in the series, I believe. This one is the first one in the series. I did make sure that I actually started with the first one. Basically, it goes through a young lady named Naomi, and she works for, I guess, what is it? I don't know if it's like the FBI. Yeah, it's the FBI. And she also has been on the other side. She's been a criminal before, and now she works for the FBI, helping them catch criminals and things like that. And so anyway, she encounters this gentleman that also works for the FBI that she ends up having to work with. And they end up having, you know, a lot of back and forth with them because she doesn't like him, but she does like him. And anyways, it's a lot of interesting things. It's kind of like watching um, one of those FBI shows that come on, you know what I'm saying? But reading it versus watching it, that's what that book kind of reminded me of. It it was somewhat difficult to follow, in my opinion. It wasn't my best read of Miss who did this one? It was Christina C. Jones. Wasn't my best read of hers. Definitely have enjoyed other ones, but this one wasn't bad. I ended up giving it a 3.25. I definitely think that if you like that style of FBI kind of investigative things going on and intrigue, you know, you may like it. It wasn't bad. Like I said, I'm not mad about reading it. I'm glad I read it, and I probably will pick up the other two in the series and eventually read them, but it's not priority. Okay, I have other books on my shelf that I need to get to. The next book I was able to read was Temper Me, and this is by Alexandria House. Temper Me is a out of order. It is a book in a series. It is actually number 3 in the series. There are 2 other ones in front of it. But I really, really like this book. I gave it a 4-star. It is not very long, but it deals with this young man. I forgot these names, y'all. I'm trying to do better with these. Van. Okay, so the main male character is Van, and the female character is Brooklyn. And so it deals with Van and Brooklyn and their story, and they have previously been intertwined with each other at the university, at college. He was there visiting his sister. He's much older, and not way older, but he's much older. So when she was younger in college, she had an encounter with him, and because her best friend is his sister, and now they are adults out in the world, and she has then at this point been married, but now is divorced and has a daughter. And he has dealt with some things. I won't give everything away, but he's dealt with some things, and he has went through some stuff. It's like years later, and they find their way kind of back in each other's lives due to some stuff. And it is just very, very good. The way that they are brought back to each other and how he loves on her. I loved it. It's one of those feel good. I love to read type of love stories. And so really, really, really liked that one. And it is, again, Temper Me by Alexandria House. I am very excited to get the first 1 and 2 of the series so that I can read them, because I like it. It's called the Romy University series. So I definitely say go read that one. You love it. And also I was able to read another thriller. It was A Flicker in the Dark. And this is by Stacy Willingham. This is my second book of hers. And if you are looking for an alternative to Freida McFadden, something different, I definitely would say check her out, Stacy Willingham. I like the other book I read by her, and this one also, A Flicker in the Dark. This one was okay. I gave it a 3-star. It wasn't like top over the top, but it was interesting, kept me engaged. It was a good suspenseful thriller. It really, really was. It deals with, hold on. Okay, so as I was stating, A Flicker in the Dark is a suspense thriller. And let me tell you, this book is very similar to another book I read last year called The Locked Door. I think that was actually my first book by Freida McFadden that I have read. Anyways, this one reminds me a whole lot of that book. So if you have read The Locked Door, then A Flicker in the Dark is very, very, very similar to it. It's like the same type of storyline. So it deals with Basically a young woman that is now her job. She's a psychologist. I think she's like a psychologist. And anywho, she is now an adult, but as a child, when she was younger, I forgot how old, but when she was younger, her dad was accused and actually put in jail for killing these six, I think it was six little girls, like teenage girls, young teenage girls. And so she grew up with her dad, of course, being put away for killing, being a serial killer, basically. And her mom ended up having to go to a facility because she had something happen after all of that came out that just took her out of the equation. And so it was her and her brother that were left. Her brother was a little older. He was a teenager, and I think she was, I don't know how old was she when let's see, she was pretty young. Anywho, this deals with her as an adult and the things that are going on in her life at this point, because all of a sudden people or young women are coming up dead that are in her surroundings, that her clients or people she has contact with, they're coming up all of a sudden dead around her. So anyways, it goes into a lot of twists and turns from there, and it was definitely a page turner. I definitely think you will like that one. And moving right along, I ended the month with this book called Dear Amelia, and it is by Miss Asia Monique. And this is actually number 1 in the Love in Seattle series. There is, I think, 3 more. It's a 4-book series, and there's 3 more that go with this one. It is, of course, a romance, and it is, let's see, I put it as a 3-star romance for me. And this is my first read from Miss Asia Monique, and I've heard a whole lot about her. Definitely want to read some more of her books, finish up this series if I can. But I didn't want to read what was out currently. I always kind of like want to go back and read some of their older stuff to be my first read if I can, versus reading what's popular in the moment. Sometimes it works out that way and sometimes it doesn't. But for this, I was able to dig out and find a little series. And these books in this series are not very long. Anywho, it deals with Amelia and her good friend. Ooh, what's his name? Y'all, me and these names. Anyways, Amelia is a vlogger, I guess. Yeah, sort of like a vlogger. People write letters to her, and she then answers those letters. That's where it comes with Dear Amelia. And so anyways, she has a good lifelong friend that she has been friends with forever, the main male character. And they've been close, super close, but never in a relationship. They've had relationships, but they have always just been good friends. Well, unbeknownst, of course, or be knowing to both of them, they both really truly have feelings for each other. They love each other. And this story brings together that love in such a beautiful, lighthearted way. Of course, it does also deal with some of the things that are in their past, and how they grew up and what has happened, in each one of their lives, somewhat. But let me tell you this cute little thing that was done in this book. One of the dates that they went, actually it was the first date that they went on as a couple, or as a to-be couple, was him taking her to this restaurant that was called, I forgot what the name of the restaurant was, but anyways, everything was in the dark. So it was a restaurant that served you food, but everything is in the total dark. There's no light. And the servers are blind. I don't know How is that possible? How can you do that? What? Who? How? I mean, I don't know. Anyways, I thought that was interesting, needless to say. And so, anywho, just wanted to share that with you. But it was cute. It was a good read. And I am going to, like I said, pick up the next installment, number 2, 3, and 4, to finish up that series at some point. I don't know when, but I enjoyed it. So that wraps up. I think that should be a total of 16 books that I did get to read this month. That has basically been a lot of books in a short amount of time. Hopefully you have enjoyed the video, and you will like, subscribe, and give me some comments. Hopefully you're having a good ride with me on all these book journeys. Anyways, thanks again for joining me, and I will see you guys on the next one.